introduce yourself.
Sir, good afternoon. Thank you for giving this opportunity to introduce about myself to you. Sir, my name is Mahesh. I am from Janam. Currently, I stay in Hyderabad. Uh, I have completed my graduation from Nallamala Reddy Engineering College from the stream of Artificial and Machine Learning with an aggregation of 8.36. Currently, I am working as a data scientist intern at the Skill Union, where I have performed multiple real-world projects. One of them is object detection for 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥 𝗟𝗔𝗦𝗧, where I have worked as a data annotations with using the 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥 𝗟𝗔𝗦𝗧 label engine tool. And additionally, I have worked with another project known as multimodal fruit classification using some pre-trained models like 𝗬𝗎𝗓16 and 𝗬𝗓50, and also along with custom model. And so coming to my long-term goal, I want to secure a senior position where I will be managing the important portfolios of the company. And coming to my weakness, I'm not a multitasker. Currently trying to overcome from my weakness, where I get by doing the multiple tasks at a time simultaneously. Thank you, sir.
Your mobile number?
79932
930.
930.
BTech.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
AML.
The first I will be taking you theory, next coding. So in Python, what do you mean by mutable data type and immutable data type?
Sir, mutable means which we can be increase the size of a variable or something like where we can insert or delete, we can insert elements in that. Yeah. Immutable means which we cannot increase the size of a variable. Like coming to the example of immutable, a list is immutable. Coming to tuple, it's not immutable.
Okay. In list built-in functions, what is the difference between append and extend?
Append is used to add only single element, where extend is used to add multiple elements in a single element.
And what do you mean by user-defined function?
Which is defined by user.
Which is defined by user. Means what advantages it has over the normal built-in functions and some other functions.
In user defined function, we can add a whichever function we want to implement, but in built-in functions, it is already predefined. We cannot order or delete it. We cannot use it. Reusability of that.
Okay. The main purpose is reusability. How syntax, how it will be?
The function.
A function.
Def is a keyword used. After that, we can use give a name for a function. Def followed by function name. Colons, and after that we can write code, and we should call the function.
Function call. And what do you mean by lambda function?
It's an anonymous function which you will write in a single line by using the keyword called lambda.
In Python, if a function call itself, what do you mean by
recursion? A function call itself is called recursion.
In that recursion, generally we use more lambda function. What do you mean by exception handling?
It is used to handle errors, not to solve, but used to handle errors. Which tells us where exactly the error is. In that we have three mainly: try, except, and final keywords.
What type of exceptions it can handle?
Binary errors, keyword errors, name errors, zero division errors, keyword errors.
What do you mean by name error?
Variable names. Case sensitive like that.
Okay. What do you mean by constructor?
Without calling the function, we can by default it will run the code which is present inside the constructor.
We can run the code.
By default it will run.
Which will run?
Constructor inside them. If you write anything inside the constructor, it will automatically runs when you create an object.
No, once you repeat again.
Inside the constructor, if you write anything like any code, if you create object for that, that it will automatically runs the code which is present in the inside the constructor. Def underscore initially.
You should say like it will be initialized. Constructor will be initialized. And why do you use self as the first parameter
it's
in the
a
function?
reference for a same object. Instance of a class, like
Okay, so
object reference.
if
Like
he does not mention means what will happen?
the accessing will not be possible for another elements. We cannot access that element after one function. If you want to use that element in next function, we cannot access it.
By default, it will give you error. Yes. Because the Python interpreter will expect a copy there. So it will not work. And what do you mean by multiprocessing and multi-threading? How it is useful?
In a multiprocessor, we have separate memory for each and every processor, and in multi-threading, it will be shared among one memory shared among all the threads. In multi-threading, we use a GIL as a GIL, which is a global interpreter locker. It will stop sharing the memory. It will exit one after the other. In multiprocessing, GIL will not be present.
What do you mean by GIL?
Global interpreter locker, which stops executing the multiple process at a time.
Okay, so whether threads are present in process or process are present in threads?
First, we create threads. After that, we will give to processors.
First, we will be creating threads.
After that, we will give that threads to processors.
Okay, next.
We will start the process.
Once tell that whole.
First, we need to create functions, sir. Next, we have to create, for that functions, we will create threads separately. After threads creating, we will create processors. After that, we need to start that processors. Next, join the processors.
So you're saying that first thread will only be created.
In my opinion, we will create threads first.
Processor will be created. What is the difference between male processor and child processor? Once can say main processor की child processor తేడా ఏంటి? ఇప్పుడు దీని లోపల ఏమో
Processor.
మెయిన్ ప్రాసెసర్ చైల్డ్
Main
ప్రాసెసర్
processor.
చైల్డ్ ప్రాసెస్ ఎవరు క్రియేట్ చేస్తారు?
CPU.
లేదు మనమే డెవలపర్ వాళ్ళే చైల్డ్ ప్రాసెసర్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తారు. సో ఫర్ దట్ చైల్డ్ ప్రాసెసర్ విల్ బి అసైనింగ్ ఫంక్షన్స్.
Yes.
And we'll be doing multi-processing, multi-threading, important. లిస్ట్ పవర్ఫుల్ లేకపోతే నంబర్?
NumPy, sir, which can perform the vectorizations as it's a library.
What do you mean by vector?
Which perform mathematical operation fastly.
Pro, see A equal to 1, 2, 3. An array is there. And a vector is there separately. What is the difference here between the A and the vector? A is having a list with values, and another B is having vectors. Here, what is the difference?
In vectors, we usually perform math operations very fastly, like machine learning.
Yeah, you're saying we can perform, but I'm asking what is the difference?
Exactly. In list, we need to iterate one after the other. In vectorization, we need not to be. We will give directly list to a. In order to calculate anything in list, we have to iterate using for loops.
You can iterate both using for loops.
In vectorization, directly we will give to function or something arrays.
It is available that a common, there will be a special function, you will be giving a dimension, you get somewhere. No, I'm asking, let's see. Yeah. You know this word, semantic info? In vectors, we'll be having semantic information. Means suppose if in NLP there will be project, no? There will be using this padding, embedding, embedding.
Yes, embedding.
There's this vector concept.
Yes.
Comes in that. Python libraries.
Yes. Both NumPy pandas.
So tell me about NumPy.
NumPy stands for numerical processor, which is used for the dimensionality of a data.
Hmm.
You can read in the dimensionality using NumPy.
Okay. Tell me some of the functions in
NumPy.
5 functions.
Random, shape, size, array, range, sample, zeros, ones, mathmal, transpose.
What this function will do? np.random.randint.
Randint. If we give a range, in a range, we should pass a range. From that, it will randomly give a number, integer.
If you keep 1, 100.
Yes, randomly it will generate one number from 1 to 100.
np.random. For what sake we use pandas?
For the data manipulations, which works exactly on Excel sheets.
Okay. Deep learning mainly uses pandas or NumPy for its tasks.
In deep learning, we have ANN and CNN. No? In ANN, we will use Excel sheets, but in CNN, we will use videos, images.
No, I'm not asking whether. I'm asking whether we use NumPy mainly for machine learning or for deep learning.
In ANN part, we can use NumPy or Pandas, sir.
NumPy only. Deep learning completely NumPy. Pandas is just for machine learning. So data cleaning for clearing null those all. Total over C. In this computer vision, you will be keeping for selecting the color there.
Yes,
you will be keeping np.random.randint. It will be automatically selecting.
Yes.
So NumPy for deep learning. In pandas, what do you mean by axis is equal to 1?
In Pandas, axis is equal to 1 column.
Column.
Yes.
What is the difference between scatter plot and line plot?
In scatter plot, we will be just plotting the points exactly. In line chart, we will be having the lines. Joining these scatter plots.
What do you mean by histograms?
Histogram is which works with a total number of bins. Bins.
Is what bins means for?
We have to divide in a y-axis we will be having the total count. In x-axis we will provide the bins. Bins means how many parts we can divide it.
Range.
Yes.
Divide here. Histogram is mainly useful for which kind of data? For alphabet column or numerical
column.
Why?
As it in y-axis we will be having count values.
Because we need to define the range. Range means number.
Yes.
So it works on. And what is the difference between pie chart and bar plot?
In pie chart we will be using a circle. In bar chart we will be having the bars.
For which type of data we use pie chart?
Pie chart. To know the how much area is occupied, like pie chart.
No, for categorical, for numerical. Mainly.
Numerical.
Pie chart.
Based on the range only it will cover us. Divide the parts.
Percentage.
Percentage based on that.
Percentage. So
based on the numericals.
Okay. It will use both of these. And what do you mean by descriptive statistics and inferential statistics?
In descriptive, we have mean, mode, median. In inferential, we have correlation, I think. Pearson rank correlation and Spearman rank correlation.
Okay. What do you mean by correlation?
Which is used to find the relation between columns.
So how you can say that this column is useful for this data set alone?
If based on the R2 score, we can decide whether its column is useful.
Yes, we can do that, or we can check this correlation also. That is adjusted accuracy. This is by using this correlation. And there will be another topic like correlation. What is it?
Correlation. Spearman rank correlation.
No. In correlation only there will be another one. That is you're telling type.
Yes.
Pearson and
Spearman.
Two types.
One is used for only relation, and another one is used for along with relation and strength.
Okay. Mm. What do you mean by outlier?
The points which are far from remaining points, which using box plot we can find that.
Open your laptop. So what is the task is? I'll give you two coding questions. First one is, see there is a word education. A string is there. How many times each alphabet is occurring? Okay. You need to print a dictionary. Now,